Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to call number 4, right?
Mm-hmm. Number 4.
You guys, tonight is such a special night. We are so excited to have you guys here with us, but more so that you guys get to hear from 8 amazing women in our community. We're so excited to have them on to share what their process has been like this last year and give you little golden nuggets of their wisdom as you guys go into 2021. So if you guys are just now tuning in or you're new, we have a lot of new members to our community. I'm Sierra. I'm the founder of Makselife. I'm a life and business coach. And this is our amazing community development coordinator, Darian.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Yes. And tonight, you guys, it is such a special night because we have 8 women who have been using our system for a minimum of 6 months. And majority of them have been using it all year, but some of them didn't find us until mid-year. We like to call these guys power users. And what a common question that I get asked often is, what is a power user? I hear you talk about it all the time. And a power user to us is not only someone who uses our planner for the weekly plans as a planner, but someone who's really, really committed to the goal setting process and has stuck with it for a majority of the time of the year. 2020 was a little crazy, so some of us kind of fell off and kind of got back on the wagon again, which is totally normal and totally okay. And some of them may touch on that tonight, but they not only have committed to the goal setting process and share it willingly with all of us in the community, they're regularly showing up for all of you in helping you guys with answering your questions in our Facebook group, cheering you on Instagram. They are just full of wisdom and encouragement, and we are so excited to have them here tonight. And we're gonna do our best. We have a couple questions for them that they're gonna answer. And then at the end, if you guys have any questions for them specifically, we'll let you know when it's time to do a Q&A. If you wouldn't mind saying who your question is for so that we can know who we need to address it to, because some of you guys you're gonna recognize them right away. We haven't told you who it is, so it's a big secret. So you guys are probably going to recognize many of them. So anyway, without further ado.
Yes. And before we bring them on, I just want to say again, save your questions for them at the end so we can see them all. So just save your questions, and y'all, welcome our power users. I'm going to add them on.
Carrie, Taylor, Tammy, Sarah, Katie, and Hannah, and Michelle. Yay! Hi, guys. Hi. Okay, so should we unmute them? Can we?
Yes, you guys unmute yourselves. Say hello. Let's get loud a little bit.
Hi,
Hello.
All right, you guys, thank you again for being here tonight. We are so honored to have you here. You guys have been such an inspiration in the community, and not only just with sharing your spreads and your process, and whether it's on video or Instagram or inside our Facebook group, but you guys are constantly helping others in the community. And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much. It's amazing. And we're all really excited to hear your little, your tips of wisdom and gold nuggets you guys have to share tonight. So, yeah, so Darian's got some good questions for you guys to help everyone get to know you guys.
I mean, since we got everyone on here, I think it's only right that we see, which team everyone is repping. So I want you to let us know. You can raise your hand or you can raise your planner and tell me, power users, and y'all in the comments as well. Let us know, who is team horizontal? I guess, well,
no. Is it just 3 of us? No way. I did not know that.
Kind of, sort of. Okay.
The best.
Okay. Now we want to know, and y'all let us know in the comments as well, who is team vertical? Whoo, look at all those fingers go up.
Wow, look at that.
Kind of so. Okay, now I want to know who has Franken planned their planner and who's Team Bob. Only me? What? Hannah, you can count too. What? Oh, okay.
Wait,
And
hold on. We need to have a conversation about this real fast. Sarah, Carla. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah. Okay.
You're on the hot seat.
We're getting called out.
By the way, for those of you who don't know what Team Bob is, this was our planner girls are awesome at Franken planning, putting different planners and systems together. And someone, Carla, I believe was the very first one who decided to do this, uncoiled her planner and actually combined both a vertical and a horizontal planner together. So she had 2 6-month planners, yeah?
Yes, I had 2 6-month planners, but I had 2 spreads for every single week.
Yeah. And you were using them for a bunch of different things. And you glued your pages together so that you didn't replicate your goals.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. And you went simple this year. You are in just 2 planners.
I did. I simplified from 4 to 2. And so I had to give up Bob. I feel really guilty.
It's okay. You've got to do what works for you.
Yes, I needed to simplify as well. I feel like right now with 2 littles, I just don't have enough time to be in both planners. So
yeah.
Now, Hannah, you have also Franken planned your planner, but how have you Franken planned yours?
Well, last year, I don't know if you remember that I did in June, I made mine every other week. So I wasn't Bob, because first of all, I wasn't Bob because I didn't have both, but every week, but I did have them every other week. This year I combined 2 verticals. I don't think horizontally. So it was really hard for me every other week.
Okay.
Your spreads were so cute, though. Every time you post them, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Oh, well.
We always make
I had to think really hard. I had to be creative every other week.
I have to put in, sometimes I'll snip in some horizontals because I'm really feeling it that week. And usually I'll see yours and I'm like, oh, you got to put a horizontal.
I love that. And I think, Tammy, you have something to say about both layouts.
I have not combined both layouts. And for my main planner, I have to be vertical. But this year, I do have another Makse that is horizontal. And this is for my health and fitness tracking, just for me, like a journal.
Okay, so you got 2 planners going on. All right, and then there's a whole nother team that we cannot leave out, y'all. And that is Team Notebook.
Yes, Team Notebook. Taylor, are you Team Notebook?
Possibly. Mid-year, I'm going to make a decision, but I haven't.
You haven't decided.
I don't want to think about it yet. But I have them, and I love them. I think they're just adorable.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. Can you guys do us a favor and show us? I'm curious what cover you guys are starting the year off with. Hold your planners up. Look at those florals. Wow. No pinstripes.
So much.
Oh, Darian's got one.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
Just starting. First quarter is floral. 4 covers, 4 quarters.
I'm doing the same. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And this is a new thing, the interchangeable covers for the YRO. I think a lot of people thought I was crazy for doing this, but it has turned out to be really fun and it's super easy to do. So yeah, it's really cool. All right, awesome. Well, should we jump in?
We should. I'm very curious though, Sierra, how many of y'all have finished all of your Makselife, like I call it the pep talk section with Sierra, where you're going through you have this heart to heart with her, then you write out your annual goals and the vision. How many of you guys have finished it? Raise up hand, and y'all in the comments as well. Let us know if you finished it.
Yeah. Okay. Give us some hearts if you finished. Woo -woo.
I'm not finished. Okay. And if you haven't finished it, raise your hand. I'm still working on mine. Sarah, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Now, you guys, this is a really important question. We wanted to talk to you guys about this because I know that there's a lot of you who are worried that you haven't completed all of your annual goal setting and vision board and intentions and all that stuff before January 1st. And I want to tell you guys that it's totally okay. Every single aspect of our goal setting system stands on its own. Of course, we recommend to do absolutely everything. It'll give you the best foundation as far as figuring out where your direction is and keeping you anchored to what that is throughout the year. But you could literally just jump into the monthly goals or the weekly actions and will experience a significant amount of progress and growth just on those alone. So if you're still working on your goals, okay, for the three of us who are still working on them, all right, let's just go through. Have you done your compass? Raise your hand, everybody. Okay. Have you done your intentions? Okay, I can't believe that's the one I always do first. Okay. Have you done your vision board? Okay. Okay. And then have you done your annual goals? Okay. So see, yeah. So we're all kind of now, you guys, I talk about Post-it notes all the time. So this is how I say my goals are not done, but I've kind of vetted them out. They're on Post-it notes. I just haven't put pen to paper and completely committed to them. And I actually may not until the end of January because I really, really want to feel confident and really plugged in. And December was crazy. I don't know if you guys felt that at all. I know a lot of you guys are really tired. This year has really taken a toll on a lot of us, and it's totally okay. So give yourself permission that if you're feeling behind, you're feeling a sense of pressure or fear around setting your goals or getting started, let that go. Like I always say, go where the energy is, spend time doing something that feels exciting to you in that moment. And you can skip around the steps. And it's totally okay. They do feed off of each other, but jump in and do what feels good. More than anything though, you guys, we have a challenge going on in our Facebook group right now for the Weekly Actions Challenge. And we have that specifically this month to help you guys build a habit, because it usually takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for people to really find their flow. And what I mean by that is, what does weekly actions look like for you that feel good, that are attainable, and you're not overwhelming yourself with too many things? And there's a pendulum that kind of swings from figuring out what that's going to look like for you. And it's very, very unique to every person. Some people like a really full list on their weekly actions. Some maybe only need to or want to start off with choosing 1 or 2 things because that they want to ease themselves into it. So it really, there's no right way to do it, but it does take about 4 to 6 weeks for you to find what your flow is. So take advantage of the accountability we're giving you in the Facebook group for that. Plus there's some fun prizes at the end of the month. And since we're on that topic, let's just jump into the first question. I know, Miss Carla, one of the things that we wanted to ask is, what tips do you have for a beginner?
So for me, when I started in 2020, I was so scared and intimidated by the entire process. I skipped all the annual goals and I just jumped straight into the weekly actions. And I lived in the weekly actions for about 5 weeks before I even made monthly goals. I think March was the first one that I made monthly goals for. And so I think, Sierra, I know you said a long time ago, just do it scared. And that's kind of exactly what I did. I just jumped in, I did it scared. And then once I got comfortable with the process, that's when I started really kind of like things were starting to click.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially, this is a new muscle for people. And especially, we all have set the New Year's resolutions or the New Year's goals, but it's a new muscle for many of us to actually take that dream or desire or goal that we are working towards and actually have a system that's constantly pulling you forward, whether it's monthly or quarterly, monthly or weekly. And we take it all the way down to the week. That's a new muscle for you. And it's there's a lot of changing of I like to look at it as like a relationship with goal setting. And often unfortunately, most people have kind of a dysfunctional relationship with goals because we've set them and we didn't achieve them. And then all of a sudden goals kind of start to have a negative connotation, or it's a very loaded commitment that we can make, because we don't want to say we're going to do something, not do it, and then feel bad about it. So this is a chance for you guys to really play with things. And that one thing that all of you guys have been really amazing at is playing and getting messy and trying new things on and not being scared about that, which is really cool. Thanks, Carla. Katie, you had some tips for beginners too. You've got a lot of tips that you've had over on your Instagram as far as like helping people get set up and started. What would be a tip that you would have for a beginner?
I think the biggest tips that I could give you guys, some that have helped me from the past year, are just a couple questions. Ask yourself, what do you want to gain this year? And then what do you want to let go of? That'll kind of help you set your goals, like annual goals, monthly, even your weekly actions. And then another one is, what can I do each week to get me one step closer to attaining that goal? And those are some of the really biggest questions that I ask myself even now. And then another thing that I try to remember is that goals are very, very individualized. They're very specific to you. So sometimes I see people like comment, well, I just don't have that many annual goals. I just don't have that many things going. Well, your goals don't have to look like everyone else's. Your goals are going to be very individual to you. And that's just something that helped me through it. So yeah, those would be some of the biggest tips.
You know, and Katie, you have a really unique situation. You, of all of the people that we have, because you're also on our review crew, and you were on a review crew from year one. And I remember when I first reached out to you and said, hey, you know, would you be interested in trying out this goal setting system? You had actually followed this kind of how I had set it up in my Erin Condren like years ago, because I would try to make planners I used like have little spots for my weekly actions in every single area of life, but it just didn't work, which is why Makselife got born. But you, I remember you saying, I've never felt comfortable setting goals. Mm-hmm. And it was not something you were comfortable with. And now looking at you like a year after being in this planner all year, which we just talked about this before we went live, you've been in this planner all year, which is absolutely unheard of, I feel like, in the planner community.
Yes.
But you've really transformed your relationship with goal setting.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is the key for you? Because I know that there's a lot of people listening who are in that same boat.
Well, just like what Carla had said, you just do it scared. You get messy, you get in there. But one thing that I'm now looking back on all of this, it's just like my other planning that I was doing in old planners, I'm like, what was I even doing? Like, I feel like I was just planning like it was meaningless, and there just wasn't really much depth to it compared to what I'm doing now. And it's just crazy to look back on it and see that. So I just really like that now. Looking back on it, like that's kind of, I feel like full now when I'm planning.
I love that. Well, and you were talking about how you felt like this last year's planner, 2020's planner, was like your life in a single book, which is a really cool way to put it, because you had so much more. It wasn't just pretty spreads, but there was a lot of your dreams and hopes and accomplishments and stuff in there too.
Yeah. And I already feel like that's how this planner is, like already, like with my vision board that I've done. I did not do that last year. I had no desire to do that last year. And this year I was like, this is like a big piece of me now. And so the vision board was so much fun, and it was so just like eye-opening to go ahead and do that. And I already feel just like recharged with this. But it's just crazy how your mind now, like I think Makselife, like the way the tips and everything that are in there, like my mind is now like in tune to that. And so that's how I think now. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's the one thing that when I would work with people one-on-one, and we would do this in our accountability groups and my one-on-one coaching, they're like, it's so hard for me to approach my week and not think in terms of like buckets of my life. Like, where am I going to put my time and energy into? It's like you start training yourself to constantly be looking at all areas of your life and, you know, what you can do to create progress or to show up better or more. And so that's really cool to hear you say that. Michelle, you have some tips for beginners.
I did. I had a couple of things that I thought would be helpful to share. The first one is to really do the weekly reflections. I know for a lot of people that are new to the system, it's like all these extra pages. What am I even going to do with this? But sticking with actually reflecting on my week, I think made the biggest difference for me. If the questions that are listed in that pep talk prep work area don't work for you, those are the ones where you're asked to think about your wins and what's working and what's not working and adjustments. If that doesn't resonate, journaling style or making a list or using it to reflect on gratitude for the week, I think all of those things develop a practice that help the rest of it make sense. It's kind of like Katie was just saying about seeing sort of the meaning of it instead of just being a list of your to-dos. The setting the actions and taking the time to reflect on them, I think, is what really puts I don't know, it puts more gas in the tank to keep going week by week. And the second thing that I wanted to offer to anybody who's new to the system or new to this group is share and post in the community. Use our hashtags, use the Facebook group. It is truly a welcoming place. It is truly affirming of each other. And something I didn't even know I believed until I sort of accidentally said it out loud to Darian one day was, I would rather post something imperfect than miss out on the community. So it doesn't matter if it's designer or if it's beautiful or if it's, up to some mythical standard. Share what you're doing, share what's working for you, share where you're hitting roadblocks, because odds are it resonates with somebody else in this community. Yes. And we're really here for each other.
Yes. Yes.
Preach.
I know, I can see Darian back there snapping her fingers. She's like, yes, yes. Those are really good. And Michelle, you brought up a good point, a good, something that I heavily believe in. I believe reflection is so incredibly important as far as helping us go further with our personal growth. We have our weekly notes page. That is blank. It is now .grid, so there's even more flexibility, but we put that there for people. I had a lot of people ask me, why didn't you just put the questions in there, the weekly reflection questions? And the truth is, I'm also a planner girl at heart. So like the two, my planner girl and my coach collided, and I'm like, I want to go ahead and put the information there. It's in the planner. These reflection questions are on the very front of your goal setting instructions. But we also wanted to give you room that if you need room for a shopping list or meal planning or a brain dump or something like that, you can use that space for that. But I highly recommend, if you don't know what to do with that page, to do the weekly reflections. And since we're on the topic, how many of you guys actually do weekly reflection questions? Let's see. Hannah? No? Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, but most of you do, yeah. And it's a really great way to take just to really mine out of whatever's currently going on in your life and have some really good information as far as setting your goals for the next week. Does anyone else, does anyone else have any other tips for beginners? Yeah, go ahead, Darian.
I was going to say, I know Carrie did a whole amazing series on her Instagram. And if y'all have been following, definitely comment and let us know. But Carrie, what tips would you give to a beginner? Because you are just amazing.
Yes.
Thanks so much. I think I'm very logical and sequential. And as a teacher, I have learned the importance of fundamentals and, setting those foundations. So for me, when I started, I was very intimidated. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was like, oh my God, I bought this planner. I want to use it, but I was terrified, like so many other people were. So I really attacked it logically and sequentially, and I started at page 1 and I just started working through. I did skip the vision board last year because that for me, I was just like, I can't even deal with this right now, which is really funny because I'm like a scrapbooker at heart. So I was like, oh, why am I skipping this? But I don't know. This year I did it and it was awesome. But I think really just taking the time to go through that beginning process and, take it one step slow and steady, and really think about what it means to you. I used a lot of Post-it notes last year. I don't think I wrote anything down right away because I was terrified that it wouldn't stick. But my other thing that I would say for new users is color coding for me was a huge thing. And I kind of went back to that for the start of 2021 because there's so many times during the week that you'll set goals and you'll be working towards those goals, but there's all that other stuff that comes in during the week that you're not expecting. And you realize, like, by color coding your tasks, even if it's just vacuum your living room, you realize what areas of your life that where you're focusing your energy and where you're not focusing your energy. And that really helps you to define, like, okay, is this a goal that I really, like, if it's a goal that I really want to work on, then I should be seeing a lot of that color pop up throughout my week. And it kind of is a real visual way to see, like, am I really working towards my goals, or am I getting bogged down in all of this other stuff? And do I need to readjust?
I love that. That's awesome.
And I also agree with Michelle on the whole weekly reflections thing. I did not do weekly reflections the first 2 months because I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to write. Like, wins, challenges, what I really struggled with, because I'm a people pleaser, and I was like, I don't know. What am I supposed to write there? But I will say by the end of the year, it became probably my favorite. The favorite part of the whole week was writing that weekly reflections. And it was just a space for me to do whatever I needed to do. And I used it differently throughout the year. But yeah, I think it really helped me in my personal growth too, to really learn, get to know myself. I felt like I was having a conversation with myself each week.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. Yeah. And Carrie, I know I kind of mentioned it, but she had a really awesome schedule to help people, or brought people along on her schedule of setting up her planner and annual goals, which is really awesome. That's over on Instagram too. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I punched it and put it in my planner.
Oh, I love it.
So it's very fun. I don't know if you can see with my light, probably not, but
Carrie is our like planner hack guru. She is the one that does all of the pen tests and color matching. And if you want to know how to like print something to make it fit and punch into your planner, like, you have to go to her Instagram. She's got tons and tons of tips over there. You're amazing.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So let's go to the second question. How have you guys grown this past year? What are some big takeaways that you've had? Let's start with Carla.
Yeah, so I think the biggest growth that I had was in the actual goal setting process. When I first got the planner for 2020, I literally did not make a single goal. I had absolutely nothing written in my annual goals until September of 2020. And it wasn't even goals at that point, more of just me going back into my planner and actually just writing down what I did. And so just the actual goal setting process and getting comfortable in the system, I grew a lot when I compared my compass assessment for January of 2021 to January of 2020. I had, I think, only one area was lower, and I had at least 3 points higher in almost all of my other areas, which I was excited to see and shocked. But yeah, just getting comfortable in the system was probably my biggest growth, of just learning how to actually set goals.
And that's normal. And that's, like I said, there's a lot of this is really new, and there's a lot of undoing, and there's a lot of mental gymnastics sometimes that we have to go through. And everyone is incredibly different. I mean, we have some people that jump right in and they're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do and how to do it. And they just jump right in, and there's no, there's not a whole lot of mindset stuff that they have to work with. And then some people just kind of slowly put their toe in the water and play around with things. And there's no right way to do this. But if you guys continue to show up in at least the weekly actions, you can't help but have progress in your life. Like, it just is like, everyone's nodding their heads. Like, it really does make a huge difference. Okay, Sarah. Thank you, Carla. Sarah, how have you grown this year? You've had a tremendous amount of growth.
Yes, it's true. I'm very similar to Carla. When I first started in the planner, I didn't know what I was doing with goals. I didn't have a very healthy relationship with goals. I thought goals were like, all goals were stretch goals. And I think that is totally like a common misconception with goals. And so it was really good to learn that goals can be smaller things and to break them down. So I didn't do any annual goals last year. Well, I did one annual goal. That was it. I left it blank. And then I just worked into the planner or worked some of the systems into the planner as I was comfortable with it. And one of the main things I did from the very beginning was the weekly reflections and doing it the way that Sierra has suggested. And so that helped me see like just that goals were a part of my life and things that I was trying to work towards, not necessarily something that was super large and big and unattainable, but it was everyday things. And so that helped me I have a better relationship with goals. And then also gratitude was something I haven't ever like focused on before. And the gratitude heart prompt in the planner helped me see that daily gratitude changes your mindset. And I would definitely say I was more of a realistic type of a person, but that really just is a code for being pessimistic. And thinking through positives every day and something I can be grateful for every day really gave me a 180 switch in my mindset. And I can now have like hard moments, but also see the good things that come through hard moments and have better resiliency through life because of it. So there's like so much growth that has happened for me in the planner, but those would be like the bigger things I think for right now.
I love it. Yeah. And you've been so generous with sharing your challenges and the ways that you've grown and your entire process. It's been so inspiring to watch. And I thank you for sharing like you do. You're
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah. Miss Hannah, I know you have stuff to add into this one.
Sure. Well, I am a perfectionist. And I think that is like a plague of the planner world. I think a lot of us have that same issue. And this planner, I love setting goals, love them. I remember as like a little girl, I would write goals when I found my like goal planner journal that I had written when I was like 5. And it was like, I will have my room clean every day, or I will, and I had like punishments for myself. I set them up every day, like all these little things. So I love setting goals. But one problem that I have is failure would make me quit. Like I just would be done. And I failed a lot at like my room wasn't clean every single day. So this planner has helped me like let go of a little bit of my perfectionism. I wouldn't say that I've recovered, nor do I really want to, but it's let me reset every week, which I love. I love that about this planner, that every single week, if I didn't have a good week next week, I have another page to reset, to restart, to rethink. And I just love the way the system is set up. So it's really helped me with that. It's helped me continue forward.
I love that. Yeah. And that's a cool thing. And in my hope and wish for everyone that is in our system, whether you have our planner or not, even if you're using our free printables on our website, or you're kind of playing around with creating some kind of your own process or system for goal setting, is that somewhere in there that you give yourself permission to not have to do all the things in order for you to feel accomplished, that every week is a new week. Every week presents its own set of circumstances and challenges. And we get to completely relook at like what is needed of me and a fresh start every week. I love that you touched on that. That's really important. Thanks, Hannah.
I would love for Tammy to jump in on this question, because I know Tammy is like fired up about like how has she grown over this year. So I would love to hear from Tammy.
Hey, so there's 2 things. There's so much that everybody's already shared. I think the thing for me, gratitude and having that space for it and keeping that space for it, starting that habit right before March and then carrying it through almost every single day throughout 2020, I know for a fact that like gave me stability. It gave me an anchor in this year. So the growth that I had in that was just, I'm very grateful for it. And I can't not do it now. It's literally just part of who I am. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is, especially doing my compass assessment for this new year after being in Makse for 2020, was I'm like Hannah. I've set goals my whole life. I think I've just always been, achieve, try to shoot for perfection to a default or to my fault. But I would sometimes say, okay, like last year in February, I'm going to run this 10K. I'm going to finish it under my goal time. And that's great. But then everything else in my life was like a back seat. And so, finish that. And then I'm like, okay, I now got to fix these other areas, like bring these others up just to maintenance mode. And so the difference for me in the Moxie system and what changed in 2020 was being aware weekly with the weekly reflections, the weekly actions, and then monthly, where am I overall? Am I constantly putting something in one area and really not working on the others, not even to the level of maintenance? So really being able to work across my life holistically and recognize my limits so that I don't have stretch goals in 6 areas and progress goals in 2 more, that has helped me basically actually make more progress across the board.
That's a good point. I love that you brought that up. So do you, and I'd like to hear from all of you guys about this. How long did it take for you to find your flow before that you started to understand? Because a very common question that we get in our group is this, do I have too many maintenance goals? Is this a progress goal? Is this a stretch goal? And I tell people, I give that for like a framework, and I don't want people to get too caught up in what bucket each thing falls into. But at what point did you, because we didn't really talk about this in the beginning of last year, you guys just kind of organically kind of found what that looked like for you. But how long did it take each of you guys to find your flow? We'll just do popcorn.
I'm looking at my old plan. I'm looking at my old planner right now, and I'm flipping through to see. And I think by like end of January, like beginning of February, you can just see it evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that's where I found it. Like, you can just see it evolve throughout your planners.
Yeah, mine was in the last 2 weeks of February, and literally I felt like right as the pandemic was starting in mid-March here was kind of where I was really solidly in that flow. And I firmly believe that flow is what helped me in the following 9 months of chaos to kind of keep it all together. But I would definitely say it was sometime in late February.
I would say mine was like 6+ months. And again, a goal setter, goal achiever. I was sporadically doing the other things like some other people mentioned. Even as a goal planner previous to this, I didn't do the annual goals at first. I started in the weekly actions. And so I basically baby stepped through all those things. And it was probably about 6 months before I was using every aspect of the planner.
That's me too.
Yeah.
It took me a while.
Yeah. What do you think was the turning point for you guys? What was the light bulb moment when you're like, okay, what did you become more comfortable with?
Consistency, like actually doing everything instead of like just putting all the pieces together and then doing it over and over.
Yeah, I think my biggest light bulb moment was having the goals in my planner and having everything in one system instead of having a completely separate book for goals and then having to figure out how am I going to work my regular plans into achieving my goals. And so I don't think I really found my actual flow until about April. So it was about 4 months for me to actually get monthly and weekly and then habit tracking. And once I found the habit tracking and I was consistent with that and utilizing it every week, that's when everything clicked. And that's when I realized, okay, this is how we're doing it now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, mine was, I was looking back at my old planner too. Mine was also the end of February.
Yeah. Like I said, it takes about, when I was one-on-one with people, it's about 4 to 6 weeks. And you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. You could always tell when someone came in and they're like, because they would have to bring their weekly actions in so I could see what they're working on. And they'd come in like, I got it. I figured it out. And it was like, okay. And it's cool because like you said, Katie, you can see in your planners when we actually get a visual, we get to spy in on your guys' process. And you're right. You can definitely see the difference where you guys start to feel comfortable and knowing, okay, here's what works for me. And you know, what's cool too, is that every single one of you plan incredibly different and it works for you and you're finding progress. And so, find inspiration from others, but give yourself permission to find what works best for you.
I love that. To our question, I know Katie had something to say about like kind of your growth through this year. What was your biggest growth?
Well, I think I kind of answered that earlier, just like looking back on it and how my planning has evolved, just how my mindset has evolved.
Yeah.
And that was something that Sarah had just brought up. And I am like huge on mindset. I talk about it on Instagram, I feel like all the time. But mindset has just been so big to me lately. And I'm so glad she brought it up because with Makselife, now I'm looking at obviously the categories, but you're looking to see, for me anyway, what's my priority for the day. And if something starts to shift my mindset to a negative, I can take a step back, I can reevaluate where I'm at and change the moment, change the goal, change my attitude, my mindset, and then I can recenter myself. So that's one big thing that I love about Makselife is that you may set your goal in January, but by March, that goal for me might be something completely different, and that just might be marked off my list.
I love that. I love that. So, what adjustments do you guys see yourselves making in going into year 2? Because I know a lot of you guys have talked about this. Let's start with Tammy.
So I would say the biggest thing is for me to consistently do those weekly reflections and to schedule it in my planner. So sometimes, even when I do them, I might, which there's nothing wrong with this, but I might do it like Tuesday or Wednesday after a full week. And I have benefited so much more when I do that before I set if I do my reflections before I set my weekly actions for the upcoming week. So that is a change that I'm going to be making.
Awesome. Taylor.
Okay, so there's really 2 things that really like I should have already been doing, but I just now realized would actually benefit me. So one of them is connecting my monthly goals more to my annual goals. And in 2020, I made goals, but by the middle of the year, I just like abandoned them because it was easier to work month to month. And it just was like my brain couldn't take anything else besides month to month. And that was fine for 2020. But for 21, I want to see the big picture again and connect back to the big picture every month. So I think just doing my January ones, I can see like the difference that's going to make. And it just like has kind of taken the blinders off, which has been really freeing in its own way. And the second thing, which is totally simple, but like putting Post-its on every month so that I can plan ahead. I don't know why I didn't think of this. I just didn't want to write in the planner and then change my mind, but why not lay down the Post-its? So that has actually already made a huge difference as well, not only in just creating my annual goals and my monthly goals, but like I see the future being a lot easier and like less stressful when I'm sitting down and working on my monthly goals. So I'm excited.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad you brought that up because just the other night, Eric, my husband, and I were talking about some financial goals that we had. And one of them was like, we had rescheduled an appointment with our CPA about some stuff. And he's like, we need to deal with this in February, and then we need to deal with this one thing in April. And the first thing I went and did was grab a Post-it note to put it on my financial goals for February and April. And I love that you brought that up, Taylor, because it's something I don't really see any of us talking about, but I know quite a few of us do. But that future planning, a lot of people say, well, how do you break down goals and that kind of stuff? This is a great way that, like, if you're sitting down with your annual goals and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, where do I plug all this in? Write it down. Yes, Katie, write it down on a Post-it note and put it in for that particular month. And when it comes to that month, then you can reassess and adjust accordingly. And you might move it or defer it or put it down on paper. And so that's a really great way to do that. I love that you brought that up, Taylor. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, I know that you had some adjustments that you were making, and you kind of talked about it in the community series video, but I know you've got some stuff you want to share about that.
Yeah. So this year I'm simplifying a lot. I really took what you said, Sierra, about having everything in one place kind of to heart. Last year I had a planner for like one of the city planners for gratitude, and then I had a notebook that I was using for budget. And I really worked, kind of over the last couple of months, really thinking like, how can I fit this all into the Makselife? Because I really found that having it all in one place was really beneficial, and it really helped me see my life in a holistic view. I did try at the beginning of virtual learning in March to put my work stuff in there too, and that did not work. And they need to be separate somewhere else. So I'm still using a separate planner for my work. But for the most part, everything else now is in my Makselife. And then also I've been utilizing the notes pages in the back for really like those big goals that I need more real estate for, like that are not going to just fit into each month or each week, or that I really need to like kind of plan out and really think a little bit bigger picture in order to be successful with them. So
I love that. That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Let's
Carrie
see.
has the best notes pages, by the way.
I stole a lot of ideas from Hannah, so
I was just
can't
gonna
take
say,
all the credit.
You,
Oh,
Hannah and Carrie have like the most awesome notes pages with really awesome notes inspiration. Go check out their Instagrams. What would Carrie craft on Instagram, and then Hand Can Plan. Do we have your, when you guys are up talking? Oh yeah, you guys have your, and then you know what? If you guys aren't already following all of them, we'll go ahead and post in our Facebook group everybody's Instagram handles so that you guys can make sure you can follow them. Like I said, they are not only full of inspiration, but they give of themselves all the time and cheering you guys on. And it's really awesome. So we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap up some of the questions. But while we're doing that, if you guys have any questions for them specifically, now's a good time to go ahead and type them into the comments, and we'll get to them in a couple minutes. Does anyone else have any adjustments that you guys are making? Darian, I want to put you on the spot. Because I know you've changed things up a lot.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
I do change things up a lot. I think the biggest I'm trying to think you totally put me on the spot. I think my biggest adjustment is how I'm using my note pages. And so last year I just used a lot of my notes and reflection pages for like brain dumps, but I've been really intentional with them this year. So I'm actually going to start honestly journaling a lot at the end of each week. And I have a list of questions that I actually got from the Thrive worksheet that we put out in the middle of the year. And I wrote those down in my planner. So each week I'm just going to look at one of those questions and just answer it. Just because I'm one of those people that I don't like answering the same questions each week. I love my people who do, but I need something different each week. So I'm just going to answer a different question from that list of journaling prompts. And that's going to be a big thing that I think is going to be a big adjustment for me next year.
And you've knocked, how many of you, because I'm hearing a theme, how many of you guys have knocked your planner stack down for 2021? Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome. That's crazy. Yeah, because I know, Darian, you posted a photo today that you are literally just in Makse and a Stalogy notebook.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, yeah.
Combining both layouts just worked for me because I just needed the horizontal for like my to-do list, and then I needed my vertical for my memory keeping. And then, I mean, everything else is like journaling and notebooks and lists.
all the things we love. Okay, so Darian, you're the only one that I've shared this with. So I think I might be the biggest adjustment into 2021. And you guys have not been the greatest at sharing my spreads, and Planner Friend has been so neglected in 2020, but I want to post more. But one of the things that I'm doing different is I'm actually doing memory keeping in my Makselife. So I never in a million years thought that I would do that. And here's why. We're working on daily prototypes right now for us to come out with this year. And so I'm heavily in a daily planner and a daily spread, and playing around with the design for that. So that's where all of my to-dos and tasks go. And so I wasn't utilizing my weekly spread how I'd want to. And I was going back and forth. I was using it for gratitude towards the end of 2020. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I've got a separate gratitude journal that I'm going to get a little bit more crafty with. And I decided that, and Katie, you and Jen Braun both were the two that like inspired me on this, about this being a book that is like me and my life at the end of the year. And Darian, your memory planning like inspired me with like how you did it, because I'm still learning. I'm not very crafty in this like realm. So but I love journaling. And so anyway, that's how I'm using my planner this year. So it's gonna be full of memory keeping on the weekly spreads. And then when we bust out with a daily, I'll end up in that. But yeah, so
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Hannah, I know you're making a few adjustments. What's your biggest adjustment?
Well, I think my biggest adjustment is kind of what other people have said too. I did not use the reflections, note and reflections page as notes and reflections. I don't really like being told what to do. So in fact, I think I told Sierra, I'm like, you need to take the notes and reflections title off that page so I don't have to do that.
Yes, you're the biggest reason why we took that off. Yes, you and I talked about that. Yes, absolutely.
So, but now I'm going to use it for that. So that's my, do you want me to show something that I did? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Will you show us? Because
so I usually use it for meal planning. So I do something like this. Oops.
Okay, I love that. Yes.
But I would also use it for just anything that I needed that week. So I like set up a morning routine in one. Oh, this is another grocery shopping list. I use it for my sticker shop a lot to write down the orders that came in that I need to cut, or like just like sticker orders that came in. That was the second. So I don't know. I just use it for whatever I need that week. But after listening to everyone talk, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out. So for a couple of months, I've been like feeling bad that I haven't been using in that way. And I feel like I missed out on a lot of growth that a lot of other people had doing that. I always felt like I was reflecting as I was setting goals. So why do I need to reflect on a different page too? But now I'm really excited about using that this way. And even in the 1 week that I've done it, I feel like, oh, I can see what I've been missing out on. So I'm excited. I'm excited to use it for that this week or this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you know, it's funny because it's not, oftentimes our answers to those questions are only a couple sentences, but those sentences bring so much awareness. It's really crazy how powerful they are. Do we have any questions for our power users?
We do. We have a question for Taylor from Planning It Simple. She says, how do you use your weekly spreads in your Makselife?
So as a content creator, I'm using this as basically my content creator planner. So this, I do use it for pre-planning. So if you can, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I'm going to
I use it for pre-planning and then for planning for videos and for, this is where I'm gonna keep my daily gratitude, and I use the monthly spreads for content planning. So it's for pre-planning and content planning mainly, and goals, of course.
Love that. Okay, I love this question. And this is actually Tammy, who is on screen and in the chat, but I'm curious from the power users, raise your hand if you think you're gonna be interested in the daily over the weekly.
Not over, both.
Oh, both.
Yeah, I really want to use that daily for work.
I know.
Ooh.
So you know it's going to have goal setting in both, because that's at the heart of us. It'll be basically like our weekly planner, but it'll be, instead of weekly spreads, it'll be daily. And a couple other surprises I won't announce right now. But Darian and I talked about this because I'm like, I'm still like, I have to have a 12-month planner. I just do. So we were talking about, and I would be curious to hear how you guys might use it. I'm like, I think what I'll end up doing is have my 12-month be like a running list of my accomplishments every week and my weekly actions and my monthly, so that I can literally have a book of just everything that, yes, this is what's working. This is what I'm doing right. Insight and that kind of stuff with memory planning. And then the daily will be the forward looking, like setting goals and like tasks and to-dos and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious how you guys would do that.
Okay.
Oh, go for it, Hannah. You're great.
Sorry, I took myself off without being told to take myself. I think if I did use the daily, I would use that as like my task list, and this would end up being my memory planner. So I don't think I could give up a weekly. I love looking at a week at a glance, but I'm so excited.
Carrie.
So I'm a teacher, but I work in curriculum development. So I'm not like in the classroom. So I have a lot of meetings. So I currently am using a Erin Condren monthly planner for work, and it works well for me. But a few years ago, I did the daily. I can't remember right now what it was, but it was a daily planner, and it worked well. I liked having the time blocks to really block off my meetings, and especially now with virtual, like I have so many more meetings that I need to keep track of every day. So I could really see switching to a daily system for work and having the daily be my work, and then keeping the Makselife week for home, because I don't, I'm working 8 hours of the day. I don't need that hourly block for my home stuff. I just need that task list when I'm not working.
I like that. All right. Anyone else? Any ideas how you would use it? I'm curious, those of you who said you would use a daily, if you think you would still use the weekly as well, or would you just go all in on the daily?
I would use both. A lot of people ask me all the time, how do you use a daily and a weekly? Weekly is like my overview. So that's just where I will put down my appointments, everything that needs to be done. I won't so much put out my task list, but that's where my daily comes in. It's like a zoomed in view of my day. I write down all my brain dump, all my task list, everything. I would use both.
I would probably also use both, but I would probably live in the daily more, because if anybody's been following me or knows me at all, I am a huge checklist person. I will write like the most simple things, like check my mail, take out the trash, like everything will be written as a checklist. And there's nothing better than just switching the page and it's just brand new. And I would be able to have a daily with a monthly view and the companion notebooks. And if I had to, I could just live in that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Do we have any other questions for them?
It does not look like we have any more questions from what I see, and Melissa has given me a thumbs up that there are no questions on her end either.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing your wisdom and continuing to support everyone the way that you have and inspire everybody. You guys are truly amazing, and we're excited to do this new year with you guys. Before we sign off, I just want to give everyone a reminder that if you're not already a part of our book club, we have a Makselife book club on Facebook, and this month we're reading How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. So if you guys are interested in joining in over there, we hadn't read this book yet, so it's all new for all of us, but that's something that we're in the process of reading to kind of start off the new year for motivation and inspiration. So if you guys would like to join that, again, it's on Facebook, or Facebook group, sorry. And then our next live is going to be on January 25th. And we are going to be covering monthly reflections and the quarterly assessment. We structure our quarterly assessment a little differently than we do our Compass assessment. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the reasons why, so that when it comes to be time for you guys to fill that out, that you'll feel confident about how to do so, and without all of the questions there guiding you for what your score is going to be. So we'll cover that on the 25th. And then also, we've got some some other lives planned. We want to do a Meet the Team with the Makselife team, so you guys can meet everyone that works behind the scenes to make all of this come to life. And then also to do like a Q&A with myself and Darian, where you can just ask us pretty much anything you want. So we will be scheduling those coming up soon. And that's it for what I have on my agenda. Darian, have I left anything out? Am I forgetting anything?
You haven't not left anything out. I want to make sure we know that the date is Tuesday, January 26th.
Oh, 26th.
The 26th.
Yes.
So that's the date. Just want to make sure we have that right.
I know. I'm like, yeah, I wrote it down as the 25th. Okay, perfect. Thank you. What would I do without you? Awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I love you
Thank
all.
you.
Happy New Year. And we'll see you in the Facebook group and on Instagram and YouTube and all the great places. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.